You know the feeling, right? That app on your phone that crashes all the time or a website that just freezes. It's the classic sign of software gone wrong. Well, today, we're going to dive into the world of software rescue, which is pretty much the art of pulling a failing project back from the edge of total disaster.
Seriously, have you ever stopped to wonder why this happens so often? A brand new app hits the market and it's just full of bugs. Or a company pours millions into a new system and it ends up being slow and totally unusable. Why does it feel like failure is almost the default setting? Okay, so here's a pretty wild statistic. Most software projects actually fail. It's kind of sobering when you think about it. But, and this is the key, failure doesn't have to be the end of the story. A broken project doesn't have to be thrown away. It can absolutely be revived.
So, before we can talk about the big rescue, we have to understand how the disaster happened in the first place. Let's take a look at the anatomy of a software failure. It's fascinating how good intentions can sometimes spiral into really, really bad results.
This crazy high failure rate? It's not just bad luck. It almost always boils down to just a handful of very common, very predictable problems. We're talking about issues with planning, with how teams talk to each other, and even with the technology itself. Our source material points to four main culprits that just keep derailing projects. So, let's meet them.
Right. You can think of these as the four horsemen of the software apocalypse. And you know what? Understanding them is the #1 first step in either preventing a disaster or fixing one.
First on our list is just plain old poor planning. Imagine trying to build a house without a solid blueprint. It's chaos, right? Well, it's the same here. If the goals are fuzzy from the get-go or the deadlines are completely unrealistic, the team ends up just scrambling. Costs go through the roof, and the final product, usually a mess. Next up, weak coordination. You got to remember, building software is a team sport. So what happens when the business folks want a car, but the developers are building a boat because nobody's actually talking to each other? You get a whole lot of misunderstandings, wasted effort, and eventually everything just grinds to a halt.
The third culprit is this really interesting idea called technical debt. So picture a team taking shortcuts to hit a deadline. Maybe they use old code or some quick, dirty fix. In that moment, they've just taken on debt. Sure, the software works for now, but that debt starts collecting interest, making every single future update harder, slower, and way more expensive.
And our final culprit, skipping quality checks. In the mad rush to launch, sometimes teams will sidestep proper testing, and this lets all these little bugs creep into the system. They might seem small at first, but they pile up, they crash the app, and they absolutely destroy user trust. And trust me, fixing them later costs way more than preventing them in the first place.
All right, so your project is over budget, way behind schedule, and it's just riddled with bugs. It feels hopeless. Do you just pull the plug? Not so fast. This is the exact moment the rescue team gets the call.
A software rescue team, they don't just show up with a hammer, you know? They come with a full diagnostic toolkit. Their first job is to figure out exactly what's wrong. Is it a security flaw, outdated code, a massive performance bottleneck? They have a specialized fix for each problem, making sure they're treating the actual disease, not just the symptoms.
And this isn't some chaotic, frantic scramble. Nope. Bringing software back from the brink follows a really clear, methodical process. There's a playbook for this.
The whole process is super methodical. First up is assessment. They basically become digital detectives, digging through all the code to find the real source of the problem. Then comes planning. They draw up a new blueprint, a clear roadmap for the rescue. The repair phase, well, that's like surgery. Specialists go in and carefully fix the broken parts and patch up any security holes. And finally, before it's released back into the wild, it goes through intense testing to make sure the revived software is stronger than it ever was.
But hang on a second. You might be thinking, why not just scrap the whole thing and start over from scratch? And that is a great question. The answer really comes down to some very, very practical benefits. Let's just break this choice down. Take a look at the rebuild column. It's slow, it's expensive, and there's a pretty high risk you're just going to make the same mistakes all over again. Now look at rescue. It's way faster, which means less downtime for your business. It costs less, which saves your budget. The risk is managed because you're improving what's already there. And maybe the most important part, your data is preserved. You don't have to start from square one.
So let's really focus on those benefits, starting with speed. Every single hour your app is down, you're losing money and you're losing customer trust. A rescue mission is laser-focused on getting you back online fast.
We're talking weeks or months instead of the year or more that a full rebuild could take. That is a massive difference.
And a rescue isn't just about plugging leaks. It's about giving the entire system a major tune-up. The team goes in, optimizes the code, and clears out all the tangled messes. The result? A system that runs faster, smoother, and is just way more reliable for your users. It just feels better.
Let's be real, security is completely non-negotiable. Older, failing systems are often packed with security holes just waiting for someone to find them. A rescue mission makes it a priority to find and patch those weak spots, basically fortifying your defenses and protecting your most valuable asset, your data.
At the end of the day, a rescue is all about making your software future-proof. It's not just a fix for today. It's about modernizing the whole system so it works with current browsers, new devices, and whatever technology is coming next. It extends the life of your investment and gets you ready for future growth.
So, when you strip away all the technical jargon about code and bugs and all that stuff, what's the core lesson here? What's the one thing you should really take away from all this?
It really all comes down to transformation. Software rescue proves that failure is not the end. With the right team and a clear plan, a project that was once a huge liability, maybe even a complete write-off, can be turned into a genuine success story.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought, one that goes way beyond just software and code. We all have projects or plans or even ambitions that have gone completely off the rails. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what broken thing in your world is worth rescuing? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.